This is Dr. Greg McNeil. This morning I want to talk to you about, two terms, belief and knowing, and how these show up in our lives, and how we can be so confused and maybe even misled when it comes to our understanding, our firm understanding of these two terms. So let's talk about belief for a second. What is it? What is belief? Right? So a lot of people will say that belief is faith, is some kind of inner knowing that you have. Okay, that sounds fine. We'll leave that part there for now. You see, one of the things that's really important about belief has a question. There is an element of doubt when it comes to belief. Now, a person says, well, if you have faith, you won't have doubt. Okay. So keep in mind now, the question for you this morning is we want to explore belief versus knowing. So now, from a religious perspective, some people are going to say, look, you need to have faith in God. You need to have faith in all of these belief systems. But do the belief systems mean that you accurately know, in this case, God? Right? Think about that for a second. We're talking about belief right now. So you believe in God. Okay, that's fine. I think we all do. We believe in something. But is belief the same as knowing? You know, do you believe in your parents? Or do you know that your parents exist? Right? Think about that. Right? Who are you? How do you know who you are? But we can reach for some other things. Let's talk about chakra medicines. Have you ever heard that there are like 7 chakral centers in the body? Do you believe that, or do you know that? And if you know it, tell us how you know it. And let's just say, for instance, you say, yeah, it's true. There are 7 chakral centers in the body. Great. What did you get that information from? Okay. And I might have another question for you to go along with that. So let's say, for instance, you know that there are 7 chakral centers in the body. Do you know the ancient names of the 7 chakral centers in the body? Do you know where that information comes from about the 7 chakras in the body? Right? Are there names of people? Or are they something else? Do you know? Or do you believe? Tell me. Put it in the chat. If I said Untanis, Quertus, Chiatal, Guyana, Hertal, Simveta, Ardal, what names are those? What did I just say? Right? Where did I get that information from? You see, this is something that's going to be really important for us as we move forward. Our ability to be able to connect with each other means that we're going to have to reach for things that we can all connect with. You see, when it comes to belief is not the same thing as knowing. It's a personal thing. And nobody is going to necessarily challenge you because of what you believe. In fact, your belief is not really a problem until you try to make someone else believe it. You see, when it comes to something like God, right, a lot of people can say, well, of course I believe in God, and I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and I believe the Holy Trinity, and all of that. Great. So when I hear that, the first thing I want to know is, where did you get the information from? Tell me. When was the first Bible written? Tell me. What time period? And also, tell me, when does the person that we know or we believe to be Jesus, when does this person enter our history books? Now let's just keep in mind, our history books are something that we should know, because history is going to be based on evidence, at least to a degree. That history that wasn't miseducated anyway. But history leaves a clue. It leaves evidence. It leaves something that can be proven beyond fact. This group lived in this location. How do we know that this group of people lived in this location? Because there's evidence that suggests that they lived there. There are pyramids in Egypt. There are pyramids in China. There are pyramids in New Mexico. There are pyramids in the United States. We know that because the evidence exists. We don't have to believe it. We also have the evidence of the people who were there, But that information is shrouded in confusion. So when it comes to what you know and what you believe, there is a difference. But notice how I've directed your mind with that statement I just made. You see, what I said was there is evidence of the people who lived here in ancient America or in these other places on the globe where pyramids existed. But what happened to that information is what causes us to struggle with belief versus knowing. You see, when you manipulate knowledge, now it makes it difficult for people to know versus believe. And there is the rub. Belief leads us down the road of doubt. It's unfortunate, but it's true. You see, you can say that you believe in Jesus, but you don't know that Jesus is real. Now, do you? If you're reading a New King James Bible and you say that I believe in Jesus because the Bible tells me so, okay, well, what happens if somebody tells you that the Bible is a book that was taken from other ancient writings? What do you do then? How do you prove that? How do you get to what you know versus what you believe? Think about that. Think about that really deeply, because knowing is what we're after. You see, if you look all around you quietly, you could say, of course, we know that God exists. If we believe that there is a source of all things that made the life that we live in possible, the environment that we can breathe, we can thrive in, if we believe that there is a deity that has made all of these things possible that we call God, then we could say, yeah, we're benefiting from that. Even if we don't believe in the source, we know that we are living a life in which we are benefiting from an environment in which we can thrive. That is what knowing does. Knowing allows you to thrive, right? It allows you to be able to make decisions based on what you know. And when it comes to the thing about belief, belief is something that you can hold inside until you have arrived at a place of accurate knowledge for what you believe. And then what we call belief turns into something else. It's called knowledge and wisdom. And that is what we pass on to other people. But belief is something that you're going to have to explore. In the country now, in the United States that is, there are processes in place where you may be forced to repeat the 10 Commandments every day. Or you may be forced to read the 10 Commandments, whether out loud or silently, because it may be posted in all of your American classrooms. That would be unfortunate, because then if that does happen, we would be saying that this is what you have to believe. But what you have to believe would not be based on what we actually know. It would be based on what we want you to believe or what others want you to believe. You have to understand that, right? So think about all of the different religions on the planet. How many religions are there currently in Acubulon, Africa? How many different religions and congregations are there in the United States? What state are you in? If you're in the United States right now, what state are you in? And in that state, how many churches, religions, denominations are in that state? Let's just say, for instance, New Mexico. Or right now, I'm currently in Tucson. Let's say that there are 200, right? 200 churches in Tucson. I remember there was about that many when I was in Albuquerque. 200 churches. Think about that. And I'd like for you to research it so you can move beyond belief into knowing. Let's find out how many churches are in Acubulon. How many churches are in the state in which you reside currently? How many? And when you find that number, how many of those are preaching the same message? How many of those are telling you to believe in Jesus or Jehovah's Witness or Catholicism or some other form of religion, right? Which is based on one source. At least we think it's based on that one source. This is belief. Let that sit with you. All of those churches, let's just make the number smaller. Hell, let's say the number of churches in the city is 100. But if there's 100 churches and they all teach something slightly different, right? Because I almost forgot you have Mormons and, oh, damn. I used to preach at one time. I should probably know all of those churches, but I tried to expunge that from my memory because I did not want belief to cloud my judgment. So for those of you that remember, good for you. Search it out for us. But again, this is what we're talking about this morning. Belief versus knowing. So why do you have hundreds of churches in your community, in your state, in your country? Can you answer that? Find that out because it's really important for you to know. Notice I didn't say believe. You need to know. Once you have an idea of what you're dealing with, then you've set the stage for your mind to be freed up because that's really important. You see, no matter what I do going forward in these messages and these stories that I bring to you, you will never hear me say that I don't believe in the source of all things. That would be ridiculous. As a matter of fact, I know that there is a source of all things. I know the ancient names of the 7 chakral centers. I know why the man we refer to as Jesus entered our history in the AD period. Why do I know that? Because I looked it up, I researched it, and I wouldn't stop until I found it. And every time I came across something that sounded like belief, I kept going. Because if you look around you, you will find the answers that you're looking for. That is the beautiful thing about life. It's the beautiful thing about the planet in which we live in, right? And this universe that we're all a part of. If you look closely, you won't have to worry about what you believe because what you know will be made available to you. Do you believe there are 4 seasons, or do you know that it is? And how do you know there are 4 seasons? How do you know when there's a time to plant? How do you know when there's a time to harvest? You know that because the information was provided to you, right? And even that thing inside of you that we like to call spirit, you know that's real too because it moves you in ways that are different than what we call everyday thinking. You see, when we reach for something called belief, that was coming from something inside of us. We didn't have to necessarily know what it was because we all felt it. We don't even have to call it belief. We can say that we know that it is a form of knowing that's shared across the planet because we can see the evidence of it. We see it in the ceremonies. We see it in the language, the speech, and the customs. For all of those, there is something that they know. When we share what we know, we grow and we get better. You see, my role in life is to bring to you the question, not to tell you what I necessarily think or believe, but to bring questions that open up your mind so that you are in the place of knowing. I remember as a younger man when I would hear people say, you know, that astrology is a tool for the devil. And I remember thinking about that. Astrology is a tool for the devil. And I thought, where in the hell is that coming from? And then there would be other such language, astrology, or any tool that Western language, Western religion refers to as esoteric knowledge, ancient knowledge, hidden knowledge. Any of this information was always deemed to be evil, an anathema, and against God. And for those who never done any research into these areas, they accepted it. And once they accepted it, it went into the area of belief. And once it became belief, there was something called doubt and fear and prejudice and racism and all other kinds of things that would emerge from that concept of belief. And why is that? Control. When you're in the place of belief, you're in the place of doubt. When you're in the place of knowing, you're in the place of control. If you know your history, if you know where you come from, you are not easily moved. You know, so when the Europeans came to the New World, or when they went to Cubulon, or when they went to every place where other indigenous people were, and they were performing according to their knowledge of the world, Europeans came with the Bible, a Bible that had been taken from other ancient writings. We're not talking about belief systems here. We're talking about what we know. And if you're not sure about what I'm saying, then you want to check that out. Because I'm going to talk to you about what I know. I'm going to talk to you about what I researched and found. And if you have questions about that, you can say, hey, Coach, hey, Dr. McNeil, I don't agree with that. Then let's journey in it together. Because I'm here to make sure that your eyes are open, right? You don't need to follow me. You need to be able to know the trail that you are on. Because that is the one that you have to answer to. Not my knowledge or what I may or may not believe, but what you know. So that you can be clear about what you may or may not believe. And whatever that is that you may or may not believe, you want to advance that to the place of knowing so that you move through your world with much more confidence, insight, and wisdom. Knowledge versus belief. You see, when you know something, when others come with belief, you will hear them differently. So when a person tells me I can't get into astrology or some other runes or other esoteric knowledge, because they think or they believe that it is against God, I just listen to them closely, because they only have to say a few things to me to help me to know quite clearly where they are in their research. And once I do that, I just stop talking. Or better yet still, I don't even have conversations with certain types of people, because they can't reach the place where you're at. And this is something you want to think about. If you notice that you happen to be around people who are really focused on what they believe, and not what they know, or they don't demonstrate the habits to find out if what they believe is true so that they can get into the place of knowing. If you have those people around you, you may want to either do your best to help them to come to a place of accurate knowledge, not because of what you told them, not because of what you believe, but because of what you pointed them to so that they could find out for themselves. This is something that's key for us. Let's not leave people stuck in what we've given them in terms of information. Let's help people develop the habit of searching for themselves, right? You want to know, right? You don't want to be a part of a practice that you don't really know about. You don't want to say that you practice working with chakra medicine, but you don't really know the origin of chakra medicine. You don't know the names of the centers for the chakra centers, right? If you don't have that knowledge, you don't want to try to pass that on to somebody else. We don't want to create confusion. Point them in the way of knowledge so they can be truly educated. And when that happens, the biggest thing that happens when we come to places of knowledge, we come to places where we can now hear each other, right? If we're dealing with something that we can all know, we can come together. If we're trying to deal with something that we believe, which means that we're in a place of doubt, we're going to have confusion and separation, because what you believe, and when I hear that, I'm like, ooh, man, I don't know if I can hang with that. Or in other cases, you see people fighting in the streets. They go to war or other things over belief. Knowledge can bring us to the table. Knowledge brings us to a place of harmony. Knowledge brings us to a place of connection. You see, I know that I'm connected to everyone because we're all connected. But how do I know that? Do I know it because I believe it? Or do I know it because of research, because of evidence? Think about it. As we move through these changing times that we are now all a part of, what we do in this world won't have a damn thing to do with what we believe, at least in terms of making the world a better place. We can see what belief is doing to the world right now. It's tearing it apart. The world is a place of knowledge. It is all around us. It is also a place of wisdom. And we can all join in to that wisdom, to that knowledge, and to that knowing. But we have to search, right? Because belief is a starting point. It gets your attention, but it is not the story. To complete the story, you must know. And to know, you must search. Thank you.